Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now today's video I am going to talk a little bit about coloring your hair. So this video is mostly for the girls out there, but if you're a guy who's interested in knowing more about coloring your hair, especially balayage, feel free to continue watching this video. Now the reason I'm making this video is because a couple of months ago I actually took the plunge to color my hair. Now I have what you call a virgin hair, which is hair that has never been treated before, never colored before. So obviously I had a lot of apprehensions about coloring my hair. You know, it's one of those things that you see pictures of celebrities and other women on the street and you see their luscious, highlighted or colored hair and you were like, I want that hair, but you're never able to muster up the courage to go color your hair. That was pretty much me all through the years because I always wanted to color my hair, you know, I always wanted to do something different. You know, I have very straight and fine and dark hair. So no matter how many times I try and cut it or do something to it, it always looks the same. So I thought coloring would be my way out to look different. But I never had the courage because I had heard so many things about it being expensive, it actually damaging your hair, etc, etc, that I didn't want to spoil what I already had. And that's why when I actually did it, I thought I'll make this video so that if you have these kind of fears or questions in your mind as to what you should do with your hair, how you should approach it, hopefully this video will be useful to you. So now first things first, should you color your hair? I mean, that's a huge question, right? So coloring actually looks amazing, but it comes with a lot of things that you need to keep in mind. First of all is the cost. Coloring your hair, whether it's highlighting or whether you get a balayage done or whether you get an ombre done, it's pretty expensive. So for me, I got a balayage done, which we will get into a little later. And because I have long hair, as you can clearly see, it actually cost me a lot. I paid around $350 to get my entire balayage done. I also got a full balayage, so it was a little bit more expensive. So it really depends on what kind of coloring you get, whether you get an ombre highlights or a partial balayage, or you know, you have a shorter hair. Really depends on the styling that you're going for. But in San Francisco, things are a little expensive, so usually coloring your hair starts at $250 upwards. I've heard back in Asia it's a little less expensive. My sister gets her hair colored all the time and you know, she says it's much more reasonable than the pricing in California. Now the second question I had in my mind was, what should I get done? Should I get a balayage, highlight, ombre, blah blah blah? And it'll help to speak to a colorist in terms of getting guidance or looking up online to understand the difference between these three. So number one is highlighting, which is like coloring your hair. And the variation of that can be balayage or ombre. So balayage is highlighting your hair, but colorists do it with free hand because balayage itself means sweeping. So the colorist will color your hair freehand or sometimes even use a paddle to color your hair. The idea is to color your hair in a way that the natural light hits it and it looks more natural and organic. Ombre, on the other hand, creates more stark contrast between the colored hair and the non-colored hair. So read about it a little bit or ask your colorist to explain to you so you know what style suits you. For me, I got balayage done only because I wanted something more natural, not too stark. Because I take a lot of pictures, I wanted a sort of color that when I stand in lighting or sun or take pictures, it actually shows. So if you see my hair right now in the dark, you can't really see a lot of work. Perhaps you can see a little bit of brown on the ends, which is because of the balayage. But if you see my hair in the light or in photographs, you'll be able to see the balayage. And in this video, towards the end, I am going to show you a bit of the process that I went through and how my actual hair looks in natural lighting. Next question, which was so important for me, I mean, I think that was my main concern and that's what really kept me from coloring my hair for the longest time, was the impact on the health of my hair. I naturally have really dry hair. Whenever I shampoo, I have to like condition it a lot, especially in San Francisco because it's so dry. I'm not a very active person when it comes to maintaining my hair. I'm not the best at it. I'm a bit lazy because I naturally have straight hair and it always looks like this. So I'm a little careless about it in general because I feel no matter what I do, it looks the same. So I wanted something which is low maintenance, and if you're that kind of person like me, balayage is actually a great option because it's less maintenance compared to highlights or ombre, where you have to constantly get retouching done. Usually if you maintain your hair well, balayage can last up to 9 months depending on how you take care of it. So from that perspective, I thought it was a better buck for my money, and you know, I didn't have to like take too much care of maintaining it. Now for the tough part of it. No matter what you do to your hair, whichever style of coloring you do, it will to some extent dry your hair because you are using chemicals. So as much as balayage is probably a safer option, relatively, again, it's a very relative term, but it also dries up your hair. So the first month I was still okay, but you know, after a couple months, I did notice having more split ends and more dry ends. And it did require a bit more, you know, moisturizing it to keep the hydration of my hair intact. But there are ways to take care of it. For example, use a paraben sulfate-free shampoo. Very important because it will help the color stay longer. It will also lock in the moisture in your hair. So that actually really helped me. The other thing I started doing is also applying serum after I shampooed my hair. So after I shampooed my hair, I conditioned it. I would still use a leave-in conditioner or a serum on my hair just to make it even more hydrated. So doing these little small steps can actually make your hair less dry if you color or treat it. The other thing I always recommend is, you know, balayage actually looks best when you curl it and you style it. So you have to keep that in mind. But try and not use too much heat on your hair in general. That does take a little bit away from your color. So these are the things to keep in mind when you are coloring your hair. Another thing that I have to add is that if you've never ever colored your hair, like neither used henna or any sorts of color, you can afford not to bleach your hair. With balayage, you can just, you know, ask them to do it without bleaching and the color will show. Of course, this also depends on naturally if your hair is darker or lighter, because you know, then that would impact whether the color will show or not. But that's what my colorist told me, that if you've never had any chemical or color applied to your hair, you can afford not to bleach it. But again, check with your colorist. In my case, I have used henna before, like really long back. So my colorist told me that I should get it bleached, otherwise it'll really not make a difference, right? You'll be paying so much money and nobody will be able to tell any difference. But again, you know, make sure you speak to your colorist. The reason I say so is that check with her what kind of product she's using, what kind of bleach she's using, color she's using. So again, it all boils down to, like, you know, the kind of colorist or hairstylist you choose, because they can make or break it, especially if you're getting a balayage done, because it is freehand. The colorist will do it with a freehand, so there is a greater chance of making an error. So unless you have an expert doing it for you, you run the risk of kind of like messing up the color in your hair. I got my hair color done at Alcheme Salon from Henna. Henna G is a full name, and I'll leave the link below. I actually found her on Instagram. So it was very important for me to choose a colorist that has worked on diverse hair, different kind of hairs. So she has ample experience when she works on my hair. And I wanted a very specific kind of color, in the sense that I wanted more caramel brown, but closer to my hair color. So I was a little bit particular because it was my first time, and Hannah totally understood my needs and everything, and she helped me get the color I want. So question is, am I gonna get it again? I think I might, because I really like the personality it gives my hair. It, you know, instead of just being plain, boring, straight, it gives me a little bit of extra oomph, especially when I am out in the sun. So I actually really liked it, and you know, now I know better how to take care of it and treat it. Having said that, remember, it at the end of the day, you are exposing your hair to chemicals. That is a known fact. So if you love your hair, you don't need to color it, you know, it's less maintenance, you know, just embrace the natural, gorgeous mane that you have. But if you're looking to add some difference to your hair, coloring is not a bad option, you know. So I hope this answered some of your questions when it comes to coloring your hair. especially if you're a first timer, because I know I went through all this, like, you know, scared emotions of, will it damage my hair, will it show, am I spending too much money? So I hope this gave you a good foundation. I tried to be as detailed as possible to give you some insight, but if you have any questions about it, I mean, I have done tons of research, so I could share that with you, and also you can ask your colorist. In the next few clips you will see my transformation. I did manage to shoot a little bit of the process, so you get a better sense of how my hair turned out from what it was to what it is now. Especially I've taken some shots of it in the sun, so you'll get a better clarity on how balayage is. So enjoy the video, and if you do like it, don't forget to share, like, subscribe and comment. I will see you next time with more lifestyle and travel videos. I actually have a lot of travel videos coming up because I recently went to Thailand, so I know I have to put that up for you guys. But yeah, you will see many more videos coming up. But till then, lots of love. So are you applying the color already?
Yes, we're almost done.
What shade is it, Hannah?
It'll be like a cool ash brown.
Got it. I'm
Really
excited.
dimensional. Almost like your big spider.
Yeah, it looks like a sci-fi device.
10-15 minutes.
Got it. Finally got this done. Thank you, Hannah.
You're welcome.
This is really
I love
nice.
it.
Thank you. My first time, and I was super scared.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I came
And we
to you.
did it. Next time you're gonna be blonde.